I ask for the truth on behalf of Daniel Dhall Hall concerning career issues, concerning his record label, Street on Beats. So the SOB on the hat isn't the other SOB. I don't know what that is, but probably somebody else does. Probably that's where ignorance is bliss, in my view, for me anyway. And ask for this guidance and insight in the name of truth, right conduct, peace, love and non-violence. Blessed be to the crow, the carrier of souls from darkness into light. And we just cut the tarot like that, and we'll just place them to the side here. I'm going to deal out 3 cards for you there, Daniel, and we're going to see what the crack is. The first card we deal is in the position of the recent past, often referred to simply as the recent past influence. And then of course the next card being the present, that is the present influence. And then finally there we have the immediate future influence, and we just pop that there like that for you. So we'll just arrange that just so you can see them a bit better. Right, let's go for it then. First of all, of course, we asked for the energies to be there, be placed on your behalf, and Crow is king in this deck, isn't he? In the Crow's Magic Tarot by Londa Marks. So we shall now flip the first card, which is the energy of your recent past. What's been vibrating there? Isn't that an interesting card, an interesting energy? The energy of the King of Coins. The King is related to the element of fire. You could say the fiery part of. Whereas coins or discs, Crowley often calls it the knight, and then of course the king, there isn't a king in the Crowley deck, but this is the Crow's Magic deck. This is where Crow is king, and notice Crow in the background there, just reminding you that he's always there, always been there. And just recently, bear in mind of course we'll be back to that again where we got the coins or discs is earth. So in this case you could say the king is the fiery part of earth. What's that mean? Well, fire is related to the spirits of the south, where the sun transits the meridian. I suppose where it's its strongest point, it's related to energy, isn't it? Spiritual essence. And of course earth is related to matter, which is to do with the physical vehicle, isn't it? You could say spiritual essence of the physical vehicle, in the sense, I suppose, well, I suppose you could perceive it as manifestation in some regard. We've got Taurus, Capricorn and Virgo there, so clearly that's to do with, I mean, obviously not control, but certainly with Taurus. Notice with Taurus the bull, of course, literally if Taurus doesn't get what he wants, he can be like a raging bull. Here, notice you've got the tiger. The king as a tiger is depicted as a tiger spirit. Tiger is, of course, to do with willpower. It's to do with, in that case, I suppose really it just indicates, in this particular case, you've been adamant about what you want to do. You've been hell-bent on getting what you want, and you really don't want to get any. You really haven't really wanted anybody to get in your way, and it's woe betide them if they do. I suppose to some degree, maybe in excess, it could be over enthusiasm. but nevertheless, dedication, and nevertheless, it's there, isn't it? There's the fact that you've got that drive, which, I mean, if there's no enthusiasm, no drive, what's the point? What's the point in any of it? We only live once, and we only pass this way once, and that's it, isn't it? I suppose if we just take a look at the card just a bit closer there, of course we've got the crow in the background there, tiger sitting proud, of course, and yes, it's all about, I suppose, firmly seated, but of course the crow in the background, notice, is just there. Is he going away from a situation? Usually most characters, if not all the characters in the tarot deck, anyway, in the tarot deck, are always walking away from a situation. You're always walking away from now into then. You're always walking away from then into now, aren't you? And this is the same sort of thing, where regardless of, I suppose you could sort of argue that this too shall pass, in the sense of don't take it for granted if it's going good, because you know worse is to come. But nevertheless, if you're going through it bad, don't be dismayed, because be of good cheer, because this too shall pass. How do you know what the good is if you don't know what the bad is, and vice versa? That seems to be the thing. But certainly, I don't know about success, but nevertheless, you've had the resources and you've had the willpower. Even if you haven't had the money or whatever, but nevertheless, the material side of it, maybe you managed to sort of persuade somebody to hire equipment, or if you've got your own equipment. I mean, a lot can be done on computers now, can't it? It's not like years ago, where they had to hire stuff and all that sort of thing. But certainly, nevertheless, it's one thing to have the equipment, but it's are you able to use that equipment? And it's nice to have the enthusiasm and the sort of I suppose the interest in sort of belief, faith in oneself. This is what really the tiger is there saying to you, that recently you were called to take charge of a situation, and that you had to really trust in yourself that you could do it. Maybe, well, I'm sort of getting this as though somebody's left, sort of deserted you or walked out on you. There's like a group of you or something like that. And somebody just decided to run it. And maybe it'll come to a point where they'll be back when they realise you've done all the hard work, and they'll be back wanting a cutout of it or something like that. Why I'm getting that, I don't know. Maybe if that's because that's what happens with other ventures, and I don't know, maybe it's something that's going through my own head about my own perception of that in general, I don't know. Let's just see what's happening now, though. This will be interesting, won't it, just to see what there's... We'll flip the card nice and slow there, Daniel, just to see, nice and steady. Notice there we've got Justice. Now, Justice is an interesting card, because that's a major arcana card. The King of Coins is a minor arcana card, one of the 56 minor arcana cards. But the major arcana cards came first. They're like the esoteric deck. The first 22 major arcana were there before the minor arcana. Minor arcana energies give you power to change things. Recently you have had power to change things and bring things about, but now you haven't. With Justice there, you haven't. Crowley calls Justice, it's a Libran sort of energy, isn't it? Don't you just see that there? It's a Libra sort of energy. It's to do with balance. Crowley calls it adjustment, and maybe that's what's going on, in the sense that you're just trying to find a balance, to set a balance, to put something, to rectify something. You're in the process of rectification and you've got no choice over it, do it or else. Maybe it's a case of rectify your finances, in the sense of pay those bills off, or else we're going nowhere with this. Make amends with such and such a body, or else they're not going to help you out anymore, or anything of that nature that would imply that sort of thing, where although you still have choices, and nevertheless you've got no power to change it. It's a permanent thing, what's happening now. And I suppose nevertheless, in the dragon's breath, the negativity gets consumed in the dragon's breath, in the fire, and of course gets burned and purged away, as you would say. Notice here, of course, the crow there. The crow is king again here, as we know, in these crow's readings here, these crow's magic readings here. The crow is forming like the head of a humanoid figure there, as if to indicate healing in some way, or as if to be there. Remember, from the past there, was in the background all the time, was there to help you. If you chose to accept that help, or chose Tiger, brother, even though Tiger may have been sent for you to help you sort of get charge of the situation, and to help you with your willpower, and to give you that dedication, to help you with your dedication, to help that soul part, that part of you that is able to be dedicated, to help to retrieve that soul part, to give you the drive to go forward. Nevertheless, Crow is in the background. Crow is the one who sent this tiger spirit, and Crow is now there trying to rectify things and heal the situation for you, to carry you out of the darkness into the light. What darkness would that be? Well, I sense that there is a touch of darkness nevertheless, but it's not. Maybe it's more of a delaying. So it's more of a darkness that delays things, in the sense the light has been temporarily turned out. But like when night time comes, you know the morning will come. The darkest hour is before the morn, of course, but nevertheless, although the darkest hour is before the dawn, nevertheless, you know the sun will rise again. I get a sense as though this is a waiting game, what's going on here with you. But will your record label beats on streets, as you call it there, take off or not? It depends, of course, is it a group that you know, is it your music, or is it other people's music that you're promoting? I don't know. Of course, going it alone, I suppose, there's always the risk. But what risk is? Why am I saying that? I don't know. Let's just see the immediate future. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I am. Let's just flip the card here and let's just see what that is. The Four of Swords, another minor arcana card. Minor arcana cards, of course, remember, give you the power to change things. So really, although things are sort of permanent and fixed at the moment, you will have power to change things between now and this time next month, into in sort of like late August, sort of August, September-ish time, through into September, around about that sort of time, 18, 19, 20th of September time. The Four of Swords, what's that? Well, 4 is a square number, isn't it? Notice, and that's to do with, Crowley calls the Four of Swords the Lord of Truce. Notice how it's Libra again, Libra with justice and Libra. So that Libra, that balanced energy or balancing force, moves forward. So that's not a bad thing, is it? That carries you forward. Although you got the drive and the willpower just behind you there recently, where you had sort of opportunity to change things, nevertheless, it's, although you're still in a state of balancing things out, I get a sense, because Crowley calls it the Lord of Truce, this is to do with rejuvenation, isn't it? I suppose in that sense, and maybe in some form to sort of restore some. I get a sort of sense this person who's walked out on you will be coming back. I get a sense that's what this is referring to, or something similar to that sort of thing, where what you once had is going to come back to you, or somebody's going to say, you haven't had second thoughts about whatever have you, and they might try and persuade you. Now, if that's for your better, or if that's for your betterment or your worsement, as you would say, I don't know. Vile phrase that, isn't it? I know, but if that's for your better good or not, I do not know. Notice the throat chakra there, the blue of the throat chakra, the communication going on there, creative and transmissive powers, in the sense of 4, any number 4 to 9, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9 is to do with the element of water. So you could call it the watery part of air, couldn't you? In the sense of air is creative and transmissive powers, so water is mental and moral qualities of creative and transmissive powers, isn't it? The watery part is mental and moral qualities. And of course, and with that, water is to do with time, isn't it? Because it flows like time. It's to do with the spirits of the west. So you could say west of the east. You could say the sunset of the sunrise, with the bit in the middle. God knows is happening
it's
now.
2 hours.
But either way, the sunset and the sunrise are very. Tomorrow's sunrise, of course, is the beginning of the rest of your life. But nevertheless, there's the Thunderbird there, I suppose, bringing some sort of power to you. I suppose bringing sort of there is something going to be restored. Whatever it is you feel you've lost, you're going to get back again. If it works out well next time, only time will tell. That is up to you. You always have the choice. You always have the power to choose, but sometimes you don't have the power to change, like you don't right now. You did just recently, and you will in the immediate future. But just for now, let that balance take place, and let that energy of balance move into the future, and approach it in a balanced sort of way, a pragmatic sort of way. Don't expect too much, and don't try and push people. And maybe, just maybe, you might just get back in with whoever it was that walked out on you, or maybe it's writer's block in the sense of you might be literally calling a truce with you and yourself, in the sense of your talent will be restored in some way. You'll have a flash of inspiration or something like that. It's usually what happens when the Thunderbird crosses the sky, isn't it? When you hear the noise that it makes as he flies across the sky, there's a big clap, big smack, and well, everybody wakes up. And maybe that's what it is, just a wake-up thing for you there going on. But either way, it doesn't look negative. Nothing looks negative for the immediate future there, Daniel. So, just for now, of course, until next time, these cards have spoken.